So I've got this job, I've got the husband, I've got the family, I've got the house, we've got the dog, all these things. And I thought my team member was calling me about my passwords. Like when you come back from maternity leave, like, hey, we're setting up your laptop. Remind me what your code is. And in fact, she was telling me about the murder of my boss and one of my dear friends and mentors.
Wow.
And Jess, it hit me. It still hits me like a ton of bricks.
Hello, beautiful being, and welcome to the Evolving with Jessica podcast. I am a certified integrative nutrition health coach and certified life coach. In this podcast, we cover topics such as holistic health and wellness, nutrition, and spirituality. If you enjoy or gain any insight, remember to subscribe. New interviews are released weekly. Thank you for listening, and please enjoy this episode. Welcome, Lynn. Thank you for joining me today. I am so excited to have this conversation. I think it's going to be really great. Before we get started, do you mind sharing a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do?
Hi, Jess. So good to see you. I am Lynn Mull, and I left Wall Street a year and a half ago. I had the executive title, the huge team, but it wasn't working for me. So now I am a wellness expert, author, and coach consultant for people looking to either level up, get unstuck in their careers. And it's hard to put a title on it, but essentially, I am a wellness expert and career consultant, and I work with individuals and corporations to really bring that holistic approach to reduce burnout, have people reach their goals. And I've got some tricks up my sleeve, like Reiki, which I'm sure we'll get into. That might surprise people, but the old way doesn't work anymore. And I just hope that men and women alike find their North Star and really lean into not only what they're good at, but to help support their life and lifestyle.
Mm. I have to admit, one of the most interesting things that I saw about you was the spending almost 25 years on Wall Street and going from that. And now you are a Reiki Master. I know that you have your very own Oracle deck, and you usually don't hear the words Wall Street and Reiki Master and Oracle deck in the same sentence. I'm wondering, could you share a little bit of that backstory? How did that transition occur?
And I love that you used the word transition because that's what it was. And I do believe that having conversations like this dispels the myth on social media or online or with celebrities that are like, I took this leap and I did this thing. And yes, I had to eventually resign from that world, but it took a lot of planning. So I had lived on the East Coast. I've lived on the West Coast. I'm back on the East Coast now, but I was doing a ton of traveling. I was doing really exciting work, merger integration. I get to call it, 6 o'clock on a Sunday, Monday, be in Kentucky. We bought a company and I'd go to inn, and I had this wonderful experience, incredibly hard work. But when I hit my 30s, my mom got very sick, and she's alive today. And she's been helping me out recently a ton. But I saw my mom get sick, and she had just retired from her job, and she got sick a year later. And then I started to have my own family. And this all happened, I'm saying this very quickly, but this all happened within like a 3-year period, just to give you some perspective. I was
Mm.
continuing to get promoted. I was helping my father and my sister rally around my mom with her care, which is incredibly complicated. 10 years ago, Western medicine wasn't as great at talking to each other. So we were piecing together this team of people to support her. And then my boss was murdered. And I was coming back. I was coming back from my second maternity leave. So I've got this job, I've got the husband, I've got the family, I've got the house, we've got the dog, all these things. And I thought my team member was calling me about my passwords. Like when you come back from maternity leave, like, hey, we're setting up your laptop. Remind me what your code is. And in fact, she was telling me about the murder of my boss and one of my dear friends and mentors.
Wow.
And Jess, it hit me. It still hits me like a ton of bricks. And I had had enough. I was like, if I stay in this environment, it is going to kill me. Now, that might sound dramatic, but I started to look for answers. And you might always say I've been a seeker, but I am a lifelong learner. I love to absorb. I don't have gurus, but I do appreciate authors and researchers and mentors. And I started to find a way out of a toxic environment. Now, I just want to say off the bat, I love companies. I love corporate America. I love making money. It's not about going to the extreme of saying all things are bad. But where I was, I just saw this unhealthy pattern in my inner circle and I just needed to get out. So I started with a coach and I'll end here for now. But one of the things she had me do when I was so lost and so upset and thought literally the world was crashing, like all of my foundation, my mother, a female mentor boss who had the managing director title, all a family. She had me send out an email to 10 people. And it was not allowed to be family, friends, no college roommates. So like that second tier friend, maybe someone I worked with, maybe someone I used to play adult sports with, like this extra circle. And she had a list of questions, but the main question that was the arrow to my heart that started my journey to Reiki was, who do you see me as? If you could give me any title in the world or any job in the world, what would you see me as? And every single one said coach or teacher. And it
Huh.
started this path.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That is an amazing practice. And I did not see your story leading there as you were telling it.
Yeah, right,
Thought,
right.
I thought
Sometimes
it
you
was,
need help. You need
yeah.
help.
Yeah. I mean, your mom was sick and your boss was murdered, which I definitely have a question about. But I thought maybe because of those things, it made you look at your life and whether, you were living in alignment with what you wanted to do. But sending an email out to people who are 1 degree removed, that's great. I mean, anyone can do that and kind of get direction.
And I sometimes we're so in the thick of it. I was so lost and I was scraping by. 2 kids dragging me into the depths of chicken fingers and mac and cheese, right? Like no one could feed themselves at that point. It was all hands on deck for toddler zones. You're not sleeping 100%. We're in a
Mm,
2 income household. Work didn't stop. And the worst part, Jess, was that they made us sit on the floor, that the same exact floor in the same exact building, and they just shut her door. Her name was Sue, and they shut Sue's door.
You
And
mean
I
at
thought,
your corporate job?
at my corporate job, I went back to work, I went back, and I thought to myself, this is so strange. I had a visceral reaction, but I didn't know where to go. I couldn't say, well, I know I want to be an artist. Like I was so entrenched in my life and in that corporate structure and living that Harvard Business Review life, case study life, rising up the ladder. And I think that email allows you to have permission to say, like, you know what, I need help here. Yes, I'm successful. Yes, I have the title. Yes, I keep getting promoted. Yes, they keep putting me on these sexy projects, but like, I don't feel great in my skin, to your point, right? It's like, I need help. And your family members, I don't know about you, but they're sort of sick of me, right? They're like sick of getting the call that, can someone go to the pharmacy for mom? Or, hey, I can't make it into town this weekend. Can we set up a meal train for mom? Or, hey, the kids have a fever. It's like that second degree sees you a little differently than that knit. And sometimes you need that anvil of like the signs. I don't know about you, but it's like,
Mhm.
here's your calling. And I'm still evolving, but I think it gave me permission to see myself in a different way and get off of that ladder of corporate America that is a lot of nonsense. It's like getting the A's in high school. It's false. It's what you want, what you need. And I'm so
Mhm.
grateful for those people. And one of those people who was on that email, those 10 women and men, there was men and women. She's one of my best advocates to this day. Like, because I'm in alignment, she's like, go to Lynn, reach out to Lynn. She can help you get unstuck, get your career on track, get your life on track. So it was an opening.
You said, after you said that your boss was murdered, you said that you knew you had to get out or it was going to kill you. Now, you don't mean in the same way that it killed your boss. You just mean psychologically, physically. Okay.
I believe no one was threatening me in that way. And for those dealing with, we had none of us had any idea that she was being abused. Her family had since come out and talked about some signs that they noticed. And I am not an expert in that way, but I did feel that the stress of that environment, and I still believe today that the stress can be imbibed in a way that creates trauma to your cells, that can create the cancer, the chronic illness, the stress coming out in different physical ways. And I believed I was on a track to get cancer. I believed I was on my way to have a heart attack.
Mm.
And it might sound dramatic, but there were enough examples in my life. There were enough examples in my life that I felt were showing me the way that was so unhealthy. People having back surgery, like extensive back surgery around me. I'm like, literally, this work is breaking your back. So
Hmm.
I couldn't see a healthy path forward psychologically, mentally, physically in that environment.
Okay, so all the signs are there. Everyone's telling you what you should be doing or what they see you doing. And so you're like, okay, I need to get out. Then what?
So I started investing in myself.
Hmm.
And I encourage all people out there who are too busy or too overwhelmed is just take that step. So I had researched a class. I started taking coaching classes. I started reading and going to sections of Barnes and Noble and my Amazon that I had never gone to before and just following those breadcrumbs. And so the first step for me was taking a coaching course, and I walked in and I had no idea what I signed up for. It was a year-long program. And I thought at the end of the day, I am investing in myself. And if I stay in corporate America and I become a managing director and I become the head of the division, this will all work out because coaching is coaching. It can transcend whatever I do. But I got so entrenched in the way it had impact on people. So I completed my coaching course. And then I really started meshing that with my corporate world at first because we weren't in a financial situation for me to resign or leave. I had two small kids to feed and mortgages, all the things.
Hmm.
And I kept going. I kept reading. I kept working with I hired a coach myself. I realized the benefit of having that third party who was very action oriented. And then I started to make a plan to leave. And I had a milestone that I wanted to hit financially that my husband and I agreed upon in savings, age of kids, all the things, whatever your priorities are. And then I kept I kept leaning in. And Reiki happened in COVID. I was reading Kelsey Patel's book, who I can call a friend and a mentor, and I took her Reiki training. She wrote this beautiful book called Burning Bright. And there's a line in the book, Jess, that says something to the effect of, if anything in this book interests you, research it, essentially, like follow your gut. I was like, what is Reiki? I've never heard of it, but this woman's really interesting. And I went home. I was on a bike ride. I was listening to the book in my ears, and there was a class the following week on Reiki level 1, and I signed up, and I've never looked back. And I think that sometimes we overcomplicate things. What should I do? Should I take this job? Should I move to this place? Should I overanalyze it?
Mm-hmm.
And really, sometimes it's just about getting excited again, that childlike excitement. Like, hey, this is cool. This sounds interesting. And I am now infusing coaching. I'm infusing energy work, healing into all that I do. And it's changed my life. People say my face has changed. My reaction times are different. So long answer, but I am lucky that I had the opportunity to not only feel support, create a plan, have a spouse who is very, very open-minded. And I'm nothing if not determined. I was like, I'm getting out of here. And it just took a while. It took 5 years from soup to nuts for me to have an idea. This has to end, to me resigning.
Mm-hmm. I am interested in hearing more about your Oracle deck. You did show it to me before we hit record, and I would love it if you would be willing to maybe pull a card.
We didn't prepare a lot beforehand, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought to myself, I'm going to pull a card today. So the Oracle deck is something that I used in my practice, and it has 31 cards. It's called the 24 deck, but it has 31 cards. Let me explain why. There are 7 and cards, and being the ampersand. And a card would be like, for those listening, there's a card I'm pulling up, stillness and momentum. It has a big ampersand in the middle. About living in the and. There are 7 because there are 7 chakras, 7 spaces in our bodies that hold a lot of different kinds of energy. And then 24, to me, I was born on the 24th of November. I feel really called to that number, but there are 12 new moons in a year, in a calendar year, and there are 12 full moons. And I think the full moon gets a lot of attention. And it's like, what about all the spaces in between? The waxing, the waning, every 2.25 days or so, the moon changes to our human eye. And I really want people to feel that in between space. And I had a deck that I started with when I was really struggling. And I don't know about you, but sometimes in a workout class or a meditation, people will say, what's your mantra? And I just told you all the things that were going on in my life. And I'd be like, I need diapers and I need bananas. Like, I couldn't come up with a mantra. I could only come up with my grocery list. I'd be like, I think there's wet laundry in the dryer, or whatever, whatever the thing distraction was.
Right.
So I used to pull a card. And be like, okay, thank you for anchoring me. So I created this Oracle deck in a way to have an anchor. So what I'll do is I'll shuffle it. And Oracle just means, yes, it means sort of a decision maker, someone who has an answer. But unlike tarot, it has no rules. I lived in a space of rules. We live in a space of rules. Stop signs, seatbelt. In finance, it was regulation. My kids have so many rules at school. This is like, just have fun. In the booklet that I created, there are samples of how to use the deck, suggestions. People have used it to write thank you letters and slip in a card. People have used it for yoga class inspiration, for retreat inspiration. People have used to pull a card and then paint a painting or write a poem. So just that all being said, let's have fun. So Jess, do you have something that you are ruminating on that you don't have to tell us, but I just want you to hold that in your heart. And for anyone listening, same, I want you to just hold that question, that what, that how. And we're going to do a 1-card pull. Here we go. Align. So I pulled the align card. It's hard to see on camera. It doesn't like to focus on the white space. These cards are intentionally created with a ton of white space because my brain's already full, as I've mentioned. And I just wanted a space where you could either look at this and have a reaction, or you can use the booklet and look it up. But does anything come up when you think about aligning?
Very much so, yes. In regards to my question, the question I was holding in mind is kind of more of like a yes or no that I've been weighing on. And so I guess this would be telling me or asking me, am I aligned with it? Or do what I'm aligned with?
So I'll be very intentional and read a little bit from the booklet.
Yes, please.
I'm getting a hit. I'm getting a little Reiki hit, but I'll go into that. So your physical body finds anatomical alignment from your head to your toes. It is often our energy, feelings, and mind that moves us out of alignment. So where do you notice tension? Do you feel a pinched nerve or a headache? You're getting a sign to move into alignment with both mind, body, and spirit. To achieve symmetry, lean into your personal values and let go of what is not serving you. So sometimes we think about alignment like one directional. And what I am bringing is the thought this card is bringing is not only your body, yes, that's part of it, but your mind. And then your connection to spirit. So it's almost like those fountains that jump and they create an arc. Allow the symmetry to be holistic. Don't discount. If you cut off your nose to spite your face, if you cut off the spiritual universal signs, it's not going to be in alignment. If you do it for one reason only, it's not alignment. But I'm getting in the sense that I just got a ping that it's about softening for you. Like it's not about going a million miles a minute. It's about that femininity, that left side. That is what I'm feeling for you. So whatever that means for your answer is to lean into the more feminine portion of that answer in order to feel alignment. Like don't feel pressure to be in that masculine space, that like hyper doing, because that'll backfire.
Oh, okay. That resonates.
Your left side is like really coming through, your feminine side.
Okay. Thank you. um, you mentioned how busy people are, and in today's world, it's just no one's slowing down, it seems like. And people are running around, there's never ending to-do lists, stress is normal. Common, not normal. What can people do to calm their energy and to center back to what's important in their life?
I love this question. I am nothing if not practical. Although the word busy gives me pause, I think it's a lot of created, like you're mentioning, or I think it's a lot of avoiding, but that's another podcast episode probably. There's two things I love. There's a fancy word for it in Japanese, but it's essentially a body scan. Before bed, I'm not a morning person, but before bed, you're laying down, maybe you're washing your face, you're having this moment of quiet. And I use washing your face or brushing your teeth because you can't have your phone on you when you're in the water, but do a body scan. How does my head feel? How does my jaw feel? How does my chest feel? Going down from your head to your toes, it's giving you information. Yes, you're busy, but where do you notice the tension? And then whether you want to self-diagnose or you want to reach out to someone like you or me to help you figure out, like, what does that mean? it's all the information is within us. The other thing sometimes people forget about is our side bodies. So our side bodies are really boundaries from our ears, right? Our ears are telling us something. Our sides of our torso are telling us something. It's a way in which we think, are our boundaries okay? And you can do that in a body scan. When I am really feeling off, my left hip and left, right above my hip, my waist, it gets tense. And that means, you know what? I'm not taking care of myself. The left side of your body is really about your softening. The right side is typically more sun energy, masculine. So body scan, get information. And then you can decide what you want to do with that information, but it's a good practical pause. It takes 30 seconds. It can take 15 seconds. It could take a minute. It can take 10 minutes. You decide. Also great to do in Shavasana for anyone who does yoga or a cool down in a workout, driving your car at a stop sign. How do I feel? And then washing your hands. So one thing when people are busy and the world is coming at them, whether it's the ping of a phone, family members screaming your name, knocks at the door, never ending to-do list. Oftentimes sinks in your kitchen or in your bathroom are away from people. So your back is often turned. This is also great to do around the holidays for anyone traveling to family. Not all kitchen sinks are created equal, but it's a great way to wash your hands just a little bit longer than you would normally wash your hands. It's also great to do in a work environment. If you're in the office, spending a little extra time just really slowing down. Water is a cleansing element. It can release the nonsense of that crappy meeting, that crappy interaction with Aunt Susie, your kids. Take 10 deep breaths, wash your hands. And often, like I said, you're like in my kitchen, my back is to people, it's to the back. My back is to the room, my kitchen room. And it's just like, hey, need a moment. So people can be calling my name or the timer can be going off on the oven and I can just, no phone. I'm not looking anyone in the eye. I'm not technically avoiding anyone and just cleanse. Just get rid of that minute of busyness and have a moment. I'm going to be okay. Just for today, I'm going to get through dinner. Just for today, I'm going to love myself. Just for today, I'm going to allow myself to have a treat. Whatever it is, have that moment for yourself.
Those are great and definitely practical. I've, had a lot of different guests on here that do talk about meditation and more things like that. But as far as just being a professional or busy woman or person in general in today's world, like those are two things that anybody and everybody can do, no matter how hectic your day is or your moment is. So those are really, really great. Just scanning the body as you're doing anything. I mean, you could even do that, you're folding laundry or
Speaking my language, I love laundry. And sometimes when things were in the thick of it, right? I'm feeling pretty aligned right now, but I would pull a card and put it in my purse and I'd be at a stoplight and I'd be stressed or I'd be, waiting for a doctor's office or taking my kids to the dentist, insert name of thing and be like, I feel lost. Oh, I have this card to anchor me. And this could be, we talk about superstitions or whatever word you want to use, just find that anchor. It could be a bead, it could be a special coin. My dad loves to carry angel coins. I call him a secret hippie. Kids have blankets when we're little, but there's no reason as an adult you can't have that, like, snap out of it. Yes, that meeting went terribly, or that podcast guest was a jerk, or whatever the thing is, and just be like, you know what, I'm just gonna have a minute here with my card, my alignment card, and I'm gonna be like, you know what, I feel out of alignment. What's gonna get me back in? I'm going to make myself that extra cup of tea tonight. Or it's not always about treats, but it's like, how do I get myself back into alignment quickly? And I've said before, and it'll probably be a quote in my book one day, but like, we can't all have an eat, pray, love moment. We can't all go travel the world I do retreats that are 24 hours because I know how busy people are. Like, I would love to go on a yoga retreat or a wellness retreat for a week, but I can't. My life is not at that point. My kids can't handle it. My husband can't handle it. I can't handle it. But for 24 hours, I can create this restful bubble where you can reset. So if people feel overwhelmed by that thought of wellness, it's just like create those bubbles.
Mm-hmm.
If you're getting that water and ice from the water cooler or your refrigerator, body scan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love how you just turned it into a question too. Like if you're in your car, driving, running errands, whatever you're doing, and you ask, how can I get back into alignment? Because just simply asking yourself those questions, you'll get the answers. Like the answers will come through you, which is just so amazing. So instead of, trying like forcing, like, okay, I need to do this 3-hour morning routine or check all these boxes, just asking how,
I
and it's
know.
usually so simple. Yeah.
I know. I can't do the cold plunge. Can we talk about some of that? It's so complicated. I'm like
Oh, of
the
course.
mental angst to get me into a cold plunge pool would take me all day, and I mean, kudos to everyone doing it. It's just you can't do all the things out there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think they're all necessary either. I mean, I'll maybe turn the shower cold for a few seconds.
Right. You don't need
That's
to buy a tub and yeah, I know.
Yeah. And also, if you're someone that's healing, because I think, a lot of my audience may find me because they are healing from some sort of chronic illness or have some symptoms, you don't really want to do a cold plunge because it spikes your adrenals and that can lead to more symptoms. So,
Issues.
yeah.
I have never had more love in my heart for people with chronic illness. We were talking beforehand, and I've just had surgery, and the recovery is quite intense. And it'll be a full 6, 8, 12-week process. And so I feel for those people. I feel for you going through, and your audience, that you feel like you can't move one day or it comes out of nowhere. And I do think that anyone can do those little blips, those little 5-minute wash your hands, get back on track. What do I need? It also can ground you,
Mhm.
because sometimes when we're in pain, it's like out of body feeling so terrible that I think those little moments mean a lot. Like, hey, I had that good moment where I put my feet on the ground,
Mhm.
put my feet out of bed, or I just got clearance to drive. I had abdominal surgery, I had a hysterectomy, and a couple of other things done. As we were talking about, it's like I could barely put my feet, like I needed help moving out of bed. And so maybe before you get out of bed, you do the body scan. Like,
Mhm.
where's my body winning today? Oh, you know what? My heart feels really good. I want to call my niece. I want to call my nephew and be like, great job, or whatever it is that makes you feel a little bit better.
Mhm. Yes. And you did mention the surgery. How are you working through that, besides I know doing the body scan and tuning into what does feel good? How did you prepare, and or how are you healing now? Like how are you not pushing yourself, just listening to your body?
You have my number, Jess. Yes, not pushing myself. I am a really good, I'm really good at homework. So if the doctor's like, don't do it, I don't do it. But I do self Reiki. So Reiki level 1 is about doing healing on yourself. And it was in my abdominal area, it was in my womb, in my hip. And regardless if you've had children or not, the womb is a place for a woman that holds a lot of emotion, holds this sense of mothering ourselves. And so leading up to surgery, I did a ton of self work. Again, I'm not doing hour-long anything,
Mhm.
but just allowing myself to put my hands on my body. And gratitude is overused right now, but what I did was I like thank you, thanking my womb, thanking my gut. You did a great job. Or, we're moving on.
Mhm.
I also asked for help. I have people I trust. I've worked with my mentor right before the surgery. I worked with another Reiki and spiritual practitioner. I went to doctors. I've seen a hormone. So I'm brought together Eastern and Western, and I'm still asking for help. I'm still asking for help. But I think that self-healing, you have, even if you're not Reiki certified or any of the wellness certifications, you can be an advocate for yourself. Whatever your thing is, it could be reading, it could be reading poetry, it could be reading a daily anything to get you to have a sense of, I will heal, I am healing. And I do want to mention, I threw this in there, but there's this saying in Reiki called, it's a mantra. It'll
Mhm.
sound a lot like, Reiki's not religious, but it'll sound a lot like maybe yoga sutras or religious testaments. It's called just for today. Just for today, I will not anger. Just for today, I will be humble. Just for today, I will be kind to all living things, and so on. Just for today, I'm going to get out of bed. Just for today, I'm going to go downstairs. And again, it's that permission to be like, this is where I'm at.
Mhm.
I might not like it, but like, okay, I'm somewhere.
Mhm. Yeah, it's funny because I actually had that on my list to ask you about. I wanted you to finish the sentence just for today. That you did it. That was perfect.
Yeah,
I
just for today. I mean, I just think I use it with my kids too, and my friends who are struggling. I'm like, just for today, you finish it. And so sometimes I get silly with it.
Mhm.
Like, just for today, I'm gonna be like really fun Lynn, or I'm gonna be dance party mom, or I'm gonna craft. My kids love to craft. It's like, or I'm gonna reach out and do, just for today, I'm gonna do something that scares me. I'm gonna
Mhm.
reach out. I'm going to reach out to my mentor and ask her to partner with me. Like, whatever the thing is, it's just so contained. Like, how freeing.
Yeah. Yeah. And then how good you feel after just
Yeah.
committing to that and then being it.
This was my anchor today, right? It's like, I'm going to meet Jess. We're going to do a podcast just for today. I'm going to be on air. And
Yeah.
it's the first thing I've done in 3 weeks. So it's like, it was a good carrot for me to feel better, to put some mascara on after surgery, and to meet someone who is so lovely, and to talk to your audience. And it's just, have a little fun.
Mhm. Yeah, it's funny too because you're actually a first for me as well because I am opening up more time slots to have more guests because I love this. I mean, there's nothing I love more than having like these conscious, organic conversations about things that actually really matter in life. So I'm like, if I love it so much, like let me do more of it. So where can I fit this in more?
I
And
know.
yeah, I'm happy that I did that. Another thing that you mentioned before was living in the and. You have that on your oracle card and or you have the and symbol you mentioned. So I want you to talk about what exactly does that mean, living in the and.
Well, you coach yourself, or you go to places where you need the help. So I was a very extreme thinker, a black and white. The person didn't answer the question right in an interview, I'm not hiring you, right? I would go to these extremes. I would, that boss was a jerk so many times, I'm resigning, or I'm going to find another job on another team. And for anyone watching on YouTube or anywhere, I threw up my ampersand.
Mhm.
I think living in the and is a way to allow for both. It's a way to move into the gray. And in society, hashtags, right? We're trying to label stuff. And sometimes you can't describe it, but it's like, I'm both. I am both so stuck in my physical ailments right now. Perhaps you might be thinking, like, hey, I'm not feeling great,
Mhm.
but I just got asked to speak on this topic I love. And that feels creative. So I'm in this stuck place, but I'm also being creative and I'm holding both. Or I just got in a huge fight with one of my friends, but my relationship with my collaboration partner is skyrocketing, and it's both things. And sometimes in society, when we're trying to label or hashtag or put a title on it, we get in these, we just get in these unrealistic places. And so what I want men and women and people struggling to get out of stuckness is to just notice where there are both things happening. And if you think about that barbell effect, how do you move into that handle of the barbell and say, again, to the question, like, what do I need now? What can I do to come back to center? Or is it just a moment of things are off balance? I had a client email me and she's like, I'm going into this insane 3-week period. We're about to publish something at work and it's just going to be hectic. We're going to eat out every night. Like it's frozen meals. Like this is it. But you know what? She's got this huge opportunity for this publishing moment. So, it's 3 weeks. So it's going to be hard, but it's also pretty kick-ass. And I want people to know that it can be both and hold space for both. Don't go to the black and white, because I certainly did. And it's not kind on your nervous system, as you were saying. It's not kind to take a lot of right angles. It's more enjoyable to take the windy road instead.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. We don't have to choose. We get to be both. We can be, I don't want to give any one example because then that will be the example, but
Right.
Whatever it is, yeah, we get to be multifaceted and it's so great.
So much fun and more human. And someone told me a long time ago, which my husband loves to remind me, that he said this to me. I mean, big player on Wall Street. He's been written about in books, in like the biggest books of the time of the 2008 crash and before. And he was my boss and a mentor. And I was coming back from my first maternity leave. And he said to me, you know what? I was like, I want the big job. I want you to come back. I want you to promote me. And he's like, you don't always need to be running on an incline at full speed on the treadmill. I was like, interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe it's, it was the first time someone was like, this isn't a ladder. This is that winding road. This is the, hey, I'm going to take a detour. I'm going to step off. I'm going to go on a hike instead of raging at my career, because that wouldn't have worked either. And we do wear so many hats in our lives, whatever the hats are, whatever the labels you want to put on them. And that's great. Let yourself have those moments. And maybe I'm thinking of those scales again. They're really coming through. It's maybe at one point, one of the roles is more, I'll use the word advanced because I can't think of another one, more advanced or more forefront. Like, let it hang out. Let it be the thing.
Before we wrap up, is there anything else that you would like to share with everyone listening?
I would just love for people to keep exploring. If you feel called to get more help, there are so many, I love to be a connector. So if someone's like, you know what, I'm not really into Reiki, but I'm really interested in, I need to know more about communication styles, or I've heard about human design. Do you know anyone? Like, come to me. I love to connect people. I've read every book. So if you need advice on a topic, you and I have, I want to read what's on your bookshelf, and I'm sure we have a lot of overlap, but just keep exploring and I would just say, don't feel boxed in. If you sign up for an hour-long class and you can only go to 30 minutes, just go for the 30 minutes. Allow yourself to do what you can right now. Who knows where it's going to take you? I had no idea that Reiki course, that bike ride, would change my life. And it did, because I followed my aligned self. I just kept curious. So keep curious. Keep asking for help.
Oh, I love that. Just to be curious. Follow your curiosity. Okay. I have one final question for you, but before I ask it, where can people find you?
Yes, so my website is lynnmull.com, like mullet over. And I am on Instagram _Lynn Mull and Substack Lynn Mull. And you can always reach out to me at my email, hello@lynnmull.com.
Amazing. All of that will be in the show notes, of course, along with a special little gift for you for Lynn's Oracle cards. So check that out. And my last question is, what is your #1 health tip? Whether it's mindset, diet and nutrition, physical, emotional, just the one piece of advice you would like everyone to know.
One,
One.
it's like picking a favorite.
I know.
Okay, so hard. Check. Ending on a bang here. Let's see. I would say, and I don't know if you agree, but has anyone asked you that question? Maybe we'll turn the tables. At the end, I believe we all need to get out of fight or flight. There will be times when we're going to be in that zone, for sure. Fear, anxiety, but we are all living in the zone of busy for way too long. And I implore people to find ways to get out of it. And what works for you might not work for me, but I implore you in whatever way to do the research to get out of it, to find a way to calm. And again, practically do it in little bite-sized chunks. You don't need to go to the ashram in India for 6 months. Get out of fight or flight. And what I have done and what has worked for me is to combine Eastern and Western. I am in my 40s. I just had major surgery, hysterectomy, a partial hysterectomy, and a couple of other things. I have a gynecologist who is just focused on my hormones. She does this in-depth testing. And now I'm taking herbal supplements to support that, right? I'm doing Reiki. I have a friend who is helping me unpack other things, a specialist, and I have my own business coach, right? Like I'm coming off of years of living in a go, 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 go space. And I think that is why people tell me I look different. My reaction times are different. I'm more clear in my brain. I can articulate better. And I sleep better because I'm not living at this space. And again, it doesn't have to, just find your network of people, specialists, yourself, a book, a podcast to really reduce that fight or flight. Get that cortisol level down.
Oh, so good. And you know what I heard too is it doesn't have to be Eastern or Western medicine. It can be and you're living in the and.
Yes, and ask your friends, ask people in a similar situation, ask for help to find it. What works for me doesn't work for you. And if you, like, we joke about cold plunge, it's just not my jam, but that might be your thing, or you might need a sauna, or you might need a girls trip, or you might need to take a staycation day. Can I have one more? I mean, no, this is the last one. But the other thing, I just wrote an article on Substack about a pen, which sounds crazy, but writing. There is a neuroscience behind physically writing in your brain to release and let go. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, sometimes that old school, just get that pen out. It could look like hieroglyphic, just it releases out. It's a lot better for your nervous system than typing. There's a different neuroscience behind that. So I just think sometimes we overcomplicate it, and I love my phone, but darn it, it's not the same as taking the back of an envelope or a beautiful journal and writing it out.
Yes, so true.
I could talk all day. Where are we going? We're gonna hang out. We're gonna hang up on this podcast, but we're gonna hang out all day.
I would love to do a part 2. Let us know actually in the comments or by giving us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this and if you would like a part 2. And thank you so much for joining me, Lynn. It was a pleasure. And to all those listening, I hope you have a beautiful day.
Thanks for having me. I hope everyone has a calm and lovely day and a moment to find that and that peace. And I hope to hear from people too. Let me know how I can support them.
Lovely. Thank you so much. That concludes this episode. If this resonated with you, remember to subscribe. And if you have any questions, leave a comment below or you can reach out to me on Instagram. I would love to hear from you. Links are in the show notes, and I sincerely thank you for your time and your presence.